All right, welcome. Today, we're not just talking about some exam. Think of this as your first official mission briefing on the path to becoming an officer. We're going to crack the code on the Combined Defense Services exam for 2025. Look, this journey, it's going to be tough, no doubt about it, but the destination, totally worth it. So let's just dive right into the intel, shall we? The very first thing you need to understand is the path you're about to take.
Okay, so let's get right into it. This is a big deal. The very first choice you make completely changes the game for your written exam. See, if you're aiming for the IMA, the INA, or the AFA, you're looking at 3 papers. But if the Officers Training Academy, or OTA, is your target, you only have to worry about 2. So what's the missing piece for OTA? Yep, you guessed it, the elementary mathematics paper is gone. And that is a huge difference you need to lock in from day 1.
So you've picked your path. Great. Now, let's take a look at the battlefield itself, the written exam. Getting a handle on its blueprint, the rules of engagement, that's your absolute first step to winning this thing. All right, for all of you gunning for the IMA, INA, and AFA, this is your reality. We're talking 3 papers. Each one is 2 hours long, and they're all worth the exact same. This isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. It's going to test your knowledge, for sure, but also your endurance and how you handle that clock. Now, if you're on the OTA track, things look a little different. It's more focused, more streamlined. You've got just 2 papers to tackle: English and general knowledge. The timing and marks are the same, 2 hours, 100 marks each. But here's the kicker. With no maths paper, you can pour all that extra prep time into becoming an absolute expert in these 2 subjects. That's a real strategic advantage. Okay, let's start breaking these papers down one by one. First up, English. And I want you to reframe how you think about this. It's not really just a language test. It's an evaluation of a tool that is absolutely critical for an officer, your ability to communicate clearly and precisely. So the English paper really throws the whole kitchen sink at you, in a good way. It's testing the full spectrum of your communication skills. You've got your basics, like vocabulary and grammar, but then it gets into how well you can understand complex ideas and passages and organize sentences so they actually make sense. And here's the key thing to realize. These skills all feed into each other, right? A bigger vocabulary helps you understand what you're reading. Good grammar makes ordering sentences feel like second nature. It's all about building that complete command of English. Okay, time to talk about maths. Now, this is for you folks on the IMA, INA, and AFA track. Let me be clear, this section is a beast. It's not just testing what you know, but how you perform when the clock is ticking. It's not enough to get the right answer. You've got to get it fast. Now, the topics themselves will probably look familiar. It's the stuff you likely saw in school, but trust me, it's on a whole other level now. We're talking number system, algebra, trig, geometry, mensuration, statistics, the whole works. It's a really broad syllabus, which means you have to be smart about where you spend your time. And this is where we get strategic. Pay close attention here, because this is gold. Look at the weightage. The number system, that's the heavyweight champion, folks. We're talking 20, maybe even more questions coming from just that one area. After that, your next big targets are mensuration and geometry. If you want to prepare smart, you zero in on these high-value topics. It's the most effective way to rack up points. And that really brings us back to the core challenge of the maths paper. Look, knowing how to solve the problem, that's only half the battle. In this exam, speed and accuracy are basically the same thing. They're 2 sides of the same coin. When you practice, you can't just focus on getting it right. You have to focus on getting it right now. All right, let's move on to the one subject that every single candidate has to face, general knowledge. And yeah, this section can feel overwhelming. I get it. The syllabus is basically the world. But the secret to tackling it is to break it down into 2 different types of knowledge, what I call the static and the dynamic. So first up is your static knowledge. This is your foundation. We're talking about the big core subjects: history, geography, Indian polity, economics. Now, there's a ton of detail, for sure, but the basic facts of these subjects don't really change from year to year. Building a rock-solid base here, it's absolutely non-negotiable if you want a decent score. And then you have the dynamic part. This is the stuff that's always changing. This is where you have to stay plugged in. We're talking current affairs, big breakthroughs in science and tech, what's happening with the environment, and, of course, anything related to defense and security.
The exam basically expects you to be aware of the world around you, like any well-educated person would be. Okay, imagine you've absolutely crushed the written exam. First off, congratulations. But don't celebrate just yet, because the mission is not over. Not even close. Now you're facing the final hurdle, the ultimate test, the SSB interview. This is where they stop looking at your score and start looking at you. So, just how intense is it? Well, there's one number you need to remember. 5. That's right, 5 days. The SSB interview process is a 5-day-long, 300-mark deep dive designed to figure out one thing. Not just what's in your head, but who you are at your core. The whole thing is split into 2 main stages. Think of Stage I as the first gatekeeper. It's a screening day with an intelligence rating and a picture perception test. You have to pass this to even get to the main event. If you make the cut, you move on to Stage 2. And that's where the real in-depth evaluation begins, with psych tests, group tasks, and a one-on-one interview over the next few days. When it comes right down to it, everything, and I mean everything, at the SSB is about one thing: officer-like qualities. You'll hear the term OLQs a lot. You've got 3 different experts looking at you from 3 different angles: an interviewing officer, a group testing officer, and a psychologist. And they're all asking the same basic questions. Does this person have leadership potential, courage, integrity? Can we train them to be an officer? It's not about acing one single test. It's the total picture of you that they're building. So there you have it. The roadmap is laid out for you. It's really a 3-step mission. First, master the syllabus. Second, build a smart strategy that's all about balancing what you know with how fast you can use it. And third, go to the SSB and prove you've got what it takes. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is now crystal clear. The syllabus, that's your map. The exam pattern, those are your rules of engagement. And the SSB, that's the final objective. So the only question left to ask is, where are you going to start?